This is where me and my daughter are supposed to be. We get to be big in London. We were homeless when I was a child, and I was a teen mom. I've been sink or swim. Mothers who are entrepreneurs and immigrants are like the strongest people in the world.
Welcome to the Immigrant Founder series by Infinitum Education about the people who move countries to build companies. Today, a founder who built a multi-million-dollar business in Texas with zero outside investment, moved to the UK on one of the hardest founder visas in the world, and now is building infrastructure for an entire industry. Tif Bryant, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
And I would love to start with hearing a bit about your background. Take me back to the early days of ATX Dallas. What it looked like before it gained real momentum. Yeah, tell me that story.
Yeah. So let's start with what a doula is, because most people don't know. And it's an emerging market here in the UK, and it was an emerging market when I started in the US. A doula is emotional, physical, and informational support during the pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum phase. They traditionally look like aunties and mothers and sisters who help. But in the white Western world, we have gone into individualism and washed that away. So now it's a little more transactional, and it's a business because women still need support, families still need support. And we've put a lot of that support on our partners, which is just kind of silly. We could go into all the reasons of that's being silly. But so we step in to fill the gaps that are in the system. And in the US, it's OB and obstetrics-led care, doctor-led care for pregnancy. In the UK, it's midwifery-led care. But both have parts in your pregnancy and childbirth that are not within the scope. Like laboring with you at home is out of scope for a doctor. So we fill all of these gaps. Doulas fill all of these gaps, build the bridges, do all of that stuff. I started ATX Doulas in 2013. So that's what a doula is. Yeah. So 2013, I had been a doula for a short time, and with another company that folded for some not good reasons. And in that, it had a really unique way of working in a team way where there was so many doulas on call. And if birth happened on Tuesday, that person went to the birth instead of as an individual solo practitioner. So a few of us really believed in this model of care, and we're like, let's just start a business. But let's just do it. I don't know. I think we all kind of thought it would last, I don't know, a year or two. Who knew, right? And here it is, 2026, and it's still going. And in those early days, it was really out of the passion to continue on this model of care, this team-based model of care. And the beauty that came from this also with the two other women I started with as our co-founders was in response to some dirtiness that happened in this other business. It's almost like we trauma bonded, which is interesting because our early days were actually going through huge emotional things and experiences together from the old business collapsing. So that really cemented our co-foundership, right? We really we knew we had to be on the same page with values and other things. We were really connected as co-founders. So without even thinking about how intertwined we were, because we went through this trauma together, we couldn't believe what happened. And so those early days were just like, oh, let's just make a business. Which is exactly how most businesses, organic lifestyle businesses start. Most businesses are just like, I don't know, we'll just do it. Like, why overthink?
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
Interesting. And tell me more about your co-founders.
We all came from different backgrounds. I had a bachelor's in legal studies. I had been working at the state capitol, some other things. One of the co-founders had a background in education and the other in publishing. And one from Texas, one from New York, me from California. And we all really just believed in women having birth choices and being informed in their birthing experience. I, at the time, had my first kid who was about 14 at the time when we started that business. And the other had 3 young kids. One didn't have kids yet. I went on to have 2 more kids. Somebody else went on to have 2 more kids. And we were just connected in the belief that this industry should be sustainable for the doula and for the customer. And that as solo practitioners, it's not sustainable. And that birth work should be done in community and team. And that every woman should feel supported during her childbearing year, we'll say.
Interesting. And if I understand correctly, you started this company without outside investment, right? Which means bootstrap.
Yeah, my favorite story is that we went to go open our bank account and they told us there was a $5,000 minimum for a business account. And we're like, there's no way we'll ever have $5,000 every day. There's just no way. And clearly, obviously, our account was quite higher than that, mostly, especially we had a prepaid service, so it changes your cash flow. Investment actually never was part of our conversation or thoughts. We operated very lean. We believed in really low margins for us because the work that was being done was service-based work, and the doula who went might be out of birth for 30 hours. And we just really believe in, I had done a lot of studying and I was a legal studies major, and workers' rights and civil rights were really my focus. And to me, it was, I want to build an ethical business, and that doesn't mean high margins. And the idea of margins is all fictitious out there. And that as business owners, we create the rules and the culture. So for us, investment was never part of the conversation because we also just thought this business was always just going to be right now and not future. So we weren't really looking at how to scale and be big and make lots of money. We were looking at how do we ensure that women who want to be in this profession have a job. So it is a different lens.
That's a fantastic mission. How does the story develop? Then you were there for over a decade and you decided to step away.
Yeah.
Why, and what were you reconsidering of what to do next?
Yeah. The truth is, we were all fighting a lot of burnout over a decade. Birth happens 24/7. We were fumbling along. We probably didn't institute certain things early enough that increased our burnout potential. And my co-founders were leaving for their own family and personal reasons. And I was faced, what do I want to do? I don't want to manage this business on my own. And I actually am not sure I want to be in the business anymore. I knew early on that my lens of the business was a little different, that I was looking at it. I wasn't calling it entrepreneurial at the time. I just was looking at it differently. I love our birth values. I love the work we did, but I was really most proud of being a female founded business that only hires women and then supports women. And this trickled down, just like that's where my heart was, is that it was creating these jobs. I love paying people. I always was like, how do we do this differently? And I was thinking about the systems. And I knew at that time that I didn't want the business to close, but I didn't want to operate it. So I created some crazy system to find new partners who were going to be primary owners, and I would take a small percentage and keep my toes in there, be available. And I created a way that they were interviewing and in seeing how they would resolve conflicts and crazy stuff. And this was all just my thoughts and being. And as they stepped in, my family decided that we were burnt out and kind of going through some midlife transformations ourselves. I strongly needed to be on a non-Western island to get quiet. And I was born in Hawaii, and there was just something very islandful to my soul. My husband at the time and our children, we all went to Bali for a year and completely disconnected. He didn't work. Our kids went to school. We worked out. We just got quiet, no cell phones. And in that time, I was like, I love business. I just love this shit. Excuse my language. I was just like, I love this. Maybe I should go to business school. And I looked at MBAs and I was like, but corporate's not for me. I don't, what? I'm 12 years in. And then I found out that I could do my master's in entrepreneurship. And I was like, yes, yes, that's all I care about. That's actually all I care about. I was like, I want to move to London and I want to do this. I want to do that program in London. And because I want to be in Europe, I love to travel. I'm an explorer because I want to challenge myself. I want to be outside of the US. I want new experiences. It's a 1-year program that changes things too. We all moved to London for me to do that. So I spent my last year or the year before just translating my organic lifestyle business into big business. I was like, I want to know how to scale. I want to know how to do high growth. I want to smash this. I want to impact 1 million people. I want to make $1 million impacting 1 million people. I'm going to do purpose and profit. I need to just learn how to translate all of that. I heard a quote recently, if you're going to be a dreamer, you better be a doer. And to me, that's entrepreneurship, that bridge, right? We're the people who are building that bridge from dreaming into doing. I was like, this is my art. This is my art. I want nothing more than to just sit there and geek out on building amazing things that make huge impact. It's such a creative thing. As I came into London and started this, it was just like, this is home. This is where we're building.
Tif, building the bridge between dreams and doing, the best definition of entrepreneurship I've ever heard.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I really love that. So after the year in Bali, you decide to come to the UK,
Yeah.
partly to do this master's in entrepreneurship and to continue doing entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to understand, why the UK, all this background?
The truth is, while I came to Bali, I came to Europe to try to pick what city would be best for my family. And on that, I was like, Copenhagen, that's where all the happiest people in the world live. So I went to Copenhagen, I went to another few cities, and I've traveled a ton, but I was on that trip and I didn't have London on the map at all. And for whatever reason, that one day I was like, oh, flying from Nice to London, I could go there for £20 tomorrow. I'm doing it. And I literally was on the escalator up from Gatwick airport, nothing sexy. And I was like, got this wave. And I was like, this is where me and my daughter are supposed to be. Like, we can be big women here. I have 2 sons and a daughter. My daughter's my youngest, and she'll be 12 next week. And I was just like, we get to be big in London. And I don't want to live where women can't be big anymore. I found the programs, and it also had an opportunity for their dad. He's in consulting. It's English speaking. My kids are 12 and 13 now, so that's easy. There were a lot of boxes ticked. It just was the right place. I don't know how else to say it. It just was the right place.
Amazing. And it's been how many years since that?
I just moved. It's 2 years. So first year was my degree, and then I started building. In September will be 1 year.
Amazing. And tell me about this, since you had so much experience from the US back in your background. And how was it rebuilding this network, this reputation in a new market? How is that? Is it really different? Like, how does it feel being in a new place?
I think there's a beauty in this. First of all, I love change and I welcome change. And I think I welcome it. And I think there's so much beauty in changing the space, because I will always have all of my background, and everything that I've built is part of me. It's in me, and that knowledge is with me. And reinventing, or I don't even like the word reinventing yourself, but it's like, this is a new phase of this life. And I get to walk into each room and look around and be like, is this the right room for me? Am I the right person in this room? And when I first started networking, there were a lot of rooms I went in and I was like, no, what type of entrepreneur do I want to be this next go? How do I position myself in this company to be big, to build fast? I got to create that. It's actually quite liberating, right? It's very liberating to be like, this is who I am, and you get to meet this me that I want you to know. And all of that is still, I'm just genuinely an authentic person, which I have issues with that word because I don't know how to not be me. But really, I just find so much beauty in going to a new place and saying, I'm not going to hold on to all of that baggage. You just have to jump in, right? You're like, this is sink or swim. I know years ago, I had this thought, and it probably stemmed from something I listened to or watched, but mothers who are entrepreneurs and immigrants are like the strongest people in the world. And this isn't you were an entrepreneur and then you became a mother. This is I'm a mother, now I'm an immigrant, now I'm an entrepreneur. It is, I think, the grittiest, most resilient, most powerful women and people, top people in the world. To be navigating all of that at the same time is unreal. And I had this thought a few years ago. I was like, if I'm going to be top entrepreneur in the world, I better go make myself uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. I grew up very poor too. We were homeless when I was a child and I was a teen mom. I'd been sink or swim. I didn't grow up with a cush life, but I had a cush life in Austin. And that was my thought is you go put yourself so uncomfortable that the only option is to succeed. Now that's what I've done. It's a little bit crazy and
That's a crazy mindset, but I see it working. Yeah, it's brilliant too.
it's crazy.
Yeah, there's no alternative.
You don't get to have social anxieties networking. You literally don't. You're like, if I don't make this work, my kids get deported and lose all their friends. We got to make this work.
Exactly.
Let's
You
go.
gotta make it work. Yeah,
It's going to work.
that's intense. I love it. That's it. And in that sense, the process for you to move to the UK then, was it with a student visa? Was it with a founder visa? How was that like?
Yeah, it was a student visa. And then clearly you have 1 year. That's it. The backup plan was get my PhD and study mother entrepreneurs and figure it out while I built a business. But I just really had a good, solid talk with myself. I finished my program last July. August, the kids don't go to school, so you can't really do much. And I was like, okay, in September, we're gonna have a good think on what's this next business. And in that time, I just really I was like, just do what you know. You were burnt out in birth, but for your first high growth scaled business, do something you're an expert in. Just do what you know and don't have that extra friction. You have the friction over here, so you can focus on how to build big and big fast, right? That's when I came across, I'd obviously researched a ton of the different visa options. And I was like, I think this idea is innovative. I don't think this exists here. And then I looked, it doesn't exist anywhere. And I was like, it's all the stuff I needed. And so it's just like, that's the path. I'll just do an innovator. Just do. I'll just, no big deal. Just do an innovator piece.
How challenging was that actually? Just not just in bureaucratic terms, but also was it challenging for you personally or the business, the idea? How was that?
Yeah, I think when you have something magical, it flows and you just go with it. The more I looked at it and the more I dug into it and the more honest I had to get about myself, because when you're filling out a visa application, you're like, I did this, but you have to back it, right? And obviously I use AI. I'm building in tech. And at that time, ChatGPT was my boyfriend. Now Claude's my boyfriend. But I was like saying all of these things. And it was like, but you're the expert in the world in doula business, not as a solo practitioner, but I have nobody measures this stuff. So we don't actually know, but I know I have the oldest running and probably the largest doula business in Austin. That's probably the oldest and largest in Texas. That's probably one of the oldest and largest in the US. That's probably we can narrow it down. Very few people in the world I've hired 100 doulas in my time, created 100 jobs for that, right? So the level of what we did and how many people we worked with put me in expert. And I'm like, oh, expert. I was just my little, and so it was just really a beautiful process of having someone else feed you your CV in some way, having them do the award ceremony and you didn't know. And you're like, I did all of that because you really have to lay it out because you have to be honest and you have to back it. The home office was like, did you really do revenue in these years? And I was like, yes. And they're like, prove it. And I was like, proof. So it's like, you can't fudge it on these kind of applications. And getting honest was the most beautiful thing I could do as a founder of a tech business because I already had confidence, but now I'm like walking into a room and it's like, I just am the leading expert. So why should I build this? First of all, I'm the leading expert, one of the leading experts in the world. Second of all, I have a master's in entrepreneurship. And third of all, why not? Like, why not? Somebody has to. And so it actually became a really easy process for me, making sure my business plan and everything, which is all morphed, but making sure all of that stuff was there was challenging, but
Of course.
it flowed out. And the more I dug into it, the more I was like, holy shit, do I have something here? And I knew because I'm an expert in this field and because I have these credentials, I knew what mattered and what didn't and where to dig deeper and where to just be like, whatever with that.
And following this, as an expert in the birth care industry, so to call it, what's something that might not be obvious to someone that doesn't work in this industry about it that you've learned? Something that could be surprising.
I love this question because I've been thinking about that for a minute. And I think we assume that our midwives and like that the system, how do I say this? We assume that the midwives or the OBs, their whole scope is to take care of us the whole process, but it's actually not part of the scope. And I think we on the outside want to point fingers and say, you guys are failing us because you're not giving this other service. But the truth is that's out of the scope of their service. Doulas and birth care workers somebody's always been doing this work in some manner, but nobody's been measuring it and nobody's actually professionalized it. And so I think what people would be surprised to hear me say is it's actually not in the scope. It's not for the system to fix and expand the scope of nurses and midwives and OBs. It's actually for us to go and just to say, here's the data. Now just integrate this into the system to professionalize them so that they can be recognized and seen, and we can all work collaboratively instead of feeling like you're stepping on toes when it's not even in their scope. It's not in the scope of the midwife to come to your home and labor with you there for 20 hours. So why do we care? Let's just professionalize the women who are actually already doing this.
Absolutely. Professionalizing them, creating that space, those opportunities. It's really interesting. And I do have a final question, Tif, about your experience being a founder at both sides of the Atlantic. What advice would you give to a founder that's thinking about moving countries, worried about this whole rebuilding from the start? What is something you would tell someone in that situation that you were in?
Yeah. Gosh, so much of that has to do with like privilege and opportunities and everything. I think At the end of the day, do your research. That's obvious. It just really depends on what country you're coming from, what your background is, and what you're putting on the line. It's such a personal journey, but I think that if you have that opportunity, then go for it. I just am like, I've moved a bit in my life, and my feeling is home. I don't know, like London is home to me. I just spent 3 weeks in the US and I was like, thank God I'm home back in London. And I've only been here 2 years. But your other place, your home country will always be there unless there's war and it's not there, unless it's really not there. And I recognize that. But just do it. I just am like, I'm a jump out of the plane person. Just do it. Find a way. Part of being an entrepreneur is finding the way, is getting crazy creative, is being like, okay, we can do this if my kids are on a student visa that way and we go this way. And it's just the entrepreneurial journey. And that's business, right? Think of that. Here's the answer. Think of it as just the start of your business. And it's all just part of that entrepreneurial frame of mind. And if, to me, it's like, if that is too much of a wall, then how is building going to look for you? Because we don't stop. We change. We know when to move on. But entrepreneurs, they just get more and more creative. We're just like, great, come at me with the problem. Let's go solve it. That's part of the process.
I love that answer. And I really love your whole worldview and the way you approach problems and the way you approach life. And it's been fantastic to chat with you, Tif, and hear about
thank you so much.
Your story and about the job you do with it, which is amazing. So thank you so much for taking the time. And that is the Immigrant Founder. If this was helpful, follow the show. There's a new founder story every episode. From all of us at Infinitum Education, see you on the next one.